All right, so you're telling me that 55 years old, as of beginning of this year, you had no social media presence, you had no music on Spotify, anywhere online, and now 8 or 9 months later, you have 25, almost 26,000 streams and over 1,000 Instagram followers?
Oh no, it's wild. It's completely crazy, honestly.
We need to talk about that. So you're too old. Your music doesn't sound like anything on the radio. Maybe you don't have a whole lot of music and people are telling you that you're too old to get started. These are all things that Julian, my student, went through. And the transformation that we experienced together is going to change your life too. Let's roll it. All right, guys, the moment you've been waiting for, here with my student Julian, who goes by the artist name Jacre, over in the UK, but I'll let him introduce himself. So thank you so much for joining me today, Julian. Why don't you tell the audience who you are, where you're from, what kind of music you make, and all that good stuff before we jump into your actual story.
Yeah, cool. So I'm Julian. I go by the artist name of Jacre because my real name was already taken by somebody else. I started releasing music earlier this year, and I'm sure we'll go into that in a minute. But yes, I live near a town called Stamford in the UK. I'm much older than most artists who start their journey. I kind of come from a musical theatre background, so my stuff tends to be slightly theatrical. I actually try and keep that down a bit, so kind of tread a bit of a line between pop and theatre. But yeah, that's me.
You know, the great thing about Julian is he reached out to me earlier this year, even though with 2020, it feels like he reached out to me 3 years ago, but he knew that he had a sound. And let me just address you. You knew you had a sound. And you knew you had music within you that you wanted to release, but at the time, you didn't have any social media presence. You didn't release anything. You and I had talked very early on about some concerns that you might be too old for the industry, that nobody would care, that you can't find a genre that kind of really fits into anything that's quote unquote popular. When was it that you said, you know what, I really, really want to start pushing this music. I'm going to look for somebody to help me do this, or look for somebody that can at least give me guidance as far as if it's even feasible. What did that look like before you ever even reached out?
Well, I started kind of writing and singing back in probably about a year ago now, actually, about a year ago. And I had been working with a producer in London who's great, awesome guy. But I was struggling to define what kind of genre, exactly as you say, what genre that I'm in, what style I want to do. And we came up with something between us that was kind of partway towards what I wanted, but wasn't entirely it. I knew the kind of music that I wanted to do in terms of, you know, the kind of style that I sing and so on. But in terms of actual backing, the music that goes with that, I didn't know what to do. Anyway, we got to the point where I knew that I was going to have to start releasing music, and I started looking at YouTube for marketing advice. And this strange bloke came up on my screen, and he kind of reeled me in, and so I ended up reaching out, and so that's kind of how I got in touch with you. Yeah, very interesting, especially starting with zero. I had nothing on social media, of course, at that point. So I was talking to you saying, you know, what should I do? I remember.
Yeah, I remember the first conversation that we had, and Julian's in my mentorship program. We go over all the curriculum that's within the Sell Music Masterclass, but more in an accelerated rate together. I can answer one-on-one questions and whatnot. But when Julian first reached out, he gave all of these, you know, concerns that he had just brought up. And he said, where do I start? What do I kind of post? How do I build a name? Is this possible? Are people going to care? And then, you know, I believe you said in April, you know, from January to April, you started really working on the content in the background. You started posting, you started getting way more comfortable on camera, kind of refining who you were as a brand, and us working together on that through the curriculum. Really, you know, kind of just started watching you elevate, which was super exciting. But then you started releasing the music, and that's when the real magic happened. When did you start releasing, you know, the music, and how did you feel about it when you first started putting it out there?
So my first single released in, I think the latter half of April this year. And I've been building up to it. As you said, I've been doing the thing. I've been posting it every single day on Instagram without fail, and trying to vary my content and trying to put myself into most of it, so that I became a recognizable kind of entity. But of course, without music out there, you're not going to be taken fully seriously. So it took until April to kind of get everything in order, because I wanted it when the music hit, that it was going to be properly ready, so that I had a video of some sort. It was a video. It didn't have me in it, but I put together a video kind of using stock imagery. But I wanted that to be ready. I wanted all my promotional stuff to be ready, and it took some doing, really. But the thing was, because we'd had this, we kind of developed this basis between us, this base to work from on social media. It really went pretty well. I got on a few decent playlists, and actually a couple of them I'm still on. From my first single is still on these playlists, and actually doing really well, bringing loads of streams. And yeah, all kinds of strange and wonderful things started happening.
I think it's been such a fantastic journey to be able to be kind of right there with you to watch. One thing that I've always been really impressed with your work ethic is you're not afraid to reach out and collaborate with others. You're not afraid to kind of test new content on social media to see how that works, see if you can get the hang of it. And just moving forward from April to now being early October, same year. So your first ever single, April to October, and now you've released a few other songs, but two of those singles are now at 10,000 streams. You're averaging 2,000 monthly listeners. That was up to 5,000, but Julian's currently in between releases, which that's how it typically works. But all of this in such a short amount of time, did you think that this would be possible to be up over 25,000 total streams in less than 12 months? Did you think that was going to happen back when you first reached out to me in January?
No, I didn't. I can't remember, because I know that early on in the course we have to say, what are we expected to do? What are our goals? And I kind of wish I'd looked up to see what those were. But I think it was probably some ridiculously low number of streams. I said, if I got to 1,000 streams, I'd be really happy. And of course, I got to 1,000 streams and I was really happy. And now that I'm around 25,000 streams, I'm even happier.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. I'm very proud of the work and the effort that you put in, following through, being consistent, and having an overall vision of where you want it to go. I know that it can kind of sound like some Tony Robbins stuff, but it makes a big difference. Julian has since worked with other Cell Music Masterclass students. He's worked with a couple of my friends in the music industry outside of all of this stuff, such as John McLucas, a great individual out in LA.
Oh, he's great.
Shout out to John. Julian has really put in a lot of effort and has a load of music that's ready to be released. But now that he understands the actual process of releasing, building up that anticipation, building up that momentum, submitting to playlists, which first single, you got accepted onto playlists, without shelling out all this money for these paid playlists and everything. All of this organic, to where when you're pushing it the right way, and you know what you're doing and you have the confidence behind how to build it up, it works. It's so moving forward, give it another year, based on the trajectory, these numbers are going to continue to go up. But one thing we haven't really talked about is you're 55 years old. And how many people in the industry say that, it's a young guy's game. You're only going to make it if you're, under 30 and you're over the hill. You've proven without a shadow of a doubt, just getting started less than a year, that there is room for people that are 30, 40, 50 and beyond. If you just really are passionate about it, you go about it, create the content. And how does it feel to maybe have those limiting beliefs earlier in the year and then being able to smash through them and say, you know what, those were excuses. Those were things that other people put into my head, and now you're doing it. How does that feel?
Oh, it feels great. I mean, they weren't quite so much limiting beliefs as they were niggles. They were slight doubts. You know what I mean? And I think that the interesting thing, one of the interesting things that I've learned so much, but one of the interesting things is that actually being older, compensates for some of the other stuff. So obviously, if you're younger, you're young and you're attractive and all that kind of stuff, and you've got all the energy, that obviously goes in your favor. But equally, I've got life experience. I'm an entrepreneur, so I've got my own business, which is supporting me. So I've got a bit of money to help me through this stuff. I've actually got the time to put to it. I'm not having to spend all my time in making the money to allow me to do it, because I've kind of already done that. So some of those things, and I've also kind of got the self-confidence as well that comes with age. So I think, funny enough, the two balance out. Now, I don't think that would have been the case maybe 10 years ago, but obviously, the music landscape has changed massively.
You know what
I'm sure 10 years ago wouldn't have stood a chance.
What I think it is like myself, you have the grays. And so when you have the grays,
I got more than you.
It's like, well, I mean, that's why I cut my hair real short on the sides. This is like all white if I let this stuff go. So what we have to do is you just have to grow gray hair, and then the confidence comes within the grays.
Yeah, that's the one.
Totally.
It actually doesn't, but let's go with it.
I'm trying to get you like a Just for Men endorsement deal here, Julian.
You're assuming I haven't already.
Fair enough.
I haven't. No.
But if you are interested, his contact information will be in the description box below, Just for Men.
Yeah, just do a quick post.
I need to write a jingle. Anyway, back on track. So working through the program, a lot of people, and I bring this up in other videos, but a lot of people say, well, Adam already gives it all the way on YouTube. Why would I sign up for a program? Or, he's charging for his YouTube content. Like, what was your experience between the stuff you first discovered me as or with on YouTube versus the actual curriculum of the program and your experience with that?
Several things. I mean, first, the curriculum itself, the off YouTube curriculum, is obviously much more in depth than you can go into in 10-minute YouTube videos. Huge amount of video content. That's one part of it, is the being in depth. The next part is the interactive element of it, of having to think through what your goals are, having to think through who your target audience is, and in order to actually have to write that down and present that over, having to learn how to be yourself on video, the famous module 6 that everybody hates. I'm really sorry, I'm sniffing. I'm on the end of a cold.
No, it's all right.
And then for me as well, actually two other things. One was the other people in the program, who of course you meet on the Facebook group, has been awesome. I mean, great bunch of people, and I've ended up working with quite a few of them, as you said. And then the final thing, because I was also in the mentorship program, having the one-on-ones with you and the kind of the accountability that brings was also really important. That was crucial for me.
No, and it's been a super awesome and just really empowering experience being able to work together. And, I go into every single situation with students one-on-one, especially as a challenge, not only to really go above and beyond what expectations would be and say like, no, that's your goal. My goal is like way higher for you.
Yeah.
To like really kind of hit it out of the park, but also to be able to show you what's possible. Because as the coach, the mentor, the teacher, like whatever title you want to throw on it, I've seen it. I've been there. I've done that. So being able to, open those doors and kind of not only give you the mindset stuff, but the technical stuff, and be able to watch your eyes light up at certain aha moments. It's just like, it is so fulfilling. And that's why I love doing these student spotlight videos. And side note, Julian and I were actually supposed to do an in-person student spotlight video earlier this year. Yeah, but because of the travel ban or the travel slowdown, it wasn't possible. Well, we are definitely going to get together, whether you come here. I have a plan on coming out to the UK as soon as
that'd be great.
Everything. It's going to be awesome, man. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Moving forward, where do you see yourself in 6 months to 12 months as far as audience, as far as you said you had a few singles that are on the horizon to be released. What does that look like? What is the next chapter, since you've already crushed all these goals, like you said earlier, you're at 25,000 streams. Is it a certain amount of streams? Is it a certain amount of fulfillment within people hearing your music? Is it new projects? Is it getting into different arenas? I mean, what does that kind of look like?
It's a kind of it's a building process, isn't it? It's I haven't got any specific numbers in mind. What I want to do is keep on building. At the moment, I'm releasing singles every 3 to 6 weeks, so kind of a major single at least every 6 weeks, and then a kind of a minor one, like an acoustic version or something in between. And that's what's kind of worked out for me to be the best, as far as me actually be able to fit everything else in, because there's a huge amount of work that has to go in before releasing and after release, because I was releasing every 2 to 4 weeks, and it was just too much, just right. Couldn't get it all done, so I've slowed it down. But that does mean I've got enough singles. I've got, God, how many have I got in production? I think I've got something like 5 in production right now, and then I've got another 2 or 3 that are awaiting production. So I've actually currently got enough singles already to last me until something like June next year. I've got them all mapped out on the calendar. And so my plan is to get those out, just keep on pushing, just keep on doing what I'm doing, keep on engaging with people I engage with. Now, I wasn't doing to start off with, but now I engage with every single person who follows me. I make sure I have a conversation with them, very important, as you say, and kind of see where it takes me, and be open to opportunities, especially collabs. I love doing the co-writes and the collabs. They're just awesome, so much fun.
I've watched Julian go from kind of trying to find his footing to now being presented with all these opportunities and other artists that want to work with him, and producers that want to produce with him, and mix engineers that want to mix for him. And it's been really, really interesting to see how it develops so fast. Like we said earlier in this interview, or this conversation, this year has felt like 1 year has felt like 3 years, because of everything that keeps the ebbs and flows of it all. But, you having all this organization, I think that's really, I keep hearing it over and over. You now have structure, you now have organization, and you now have kind of a vision of how it all works together. Yeah. Now, a very self-serving question, but do you think you'd be where you are right now, October of 2020, with your music, with your career, with your brand, if you hadn't joined the program?
What, you mean if you hadn't slowed me down like you did? No, I don't think I would, because your feedback on my content, really helped a lot, and actually just all that stuff to do with having to write down your goals, to actually have to think about it, even if you got them wrong. I got something spectacularly wrong. We go through this process of doing the avatar, don't we, of the person who's like your ideal fan, and I did all that and wrote it all down. It was great, and didn't realize, actually my wife helped me to do it, kind of get it out of my head. And we didn't realize until about a month later that actually I had literally described my wife, but 20 years younger. Anyway, so yeah, great surprises. But no, I don't think I would. I mean, genuinely, I maybe would have got there, but it certainly would have taken longer. That's for sure.
And that's what it's about. I am not egotistical to say that if you don't join a program, you're not going to make it. I'm only here, like I say in my YouTube videos, to help you get further, faster. And if you feel like I helped you with that, then my job is done, and I feel very fulfilled within that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have all your links in the description box below, somewhere where people can check you out. But before we part ways for the day, why don't you share where people can find your stuff, your social profiles, all that good stuff. And I'll put it up on the screen too, so what you're saying can be visualized.
Sure. So I'm on Instagram as jacre.music, and that's Jacre, jacre.music. I'm also on Facebook. Again, if you look up Jacre, I can't think what my handle is off the top of my head, but it will be something Jacre related. I'm on YouTube. I've got a half decent showing on YouTube. And again on Spotify, if you look up Jacre, I should be the first person to come up, I hope.
Julian, Jacre, I appreciate your time today. I really appreciate the hard work you've put in. Don't want to discount that for a second, because no amount of guidance, no amount of coaching is ever going to make up for the actual hard work and the implementation. It's just like I say all the time, you could have a bookshelf full of books, but if you're not reading or implementing any of those how-tos, it's not going to work for you. And Julian's a prime example of how when you do put in the work, regardless of age, regardless of genre, regardless of what the goal is, you can absolutely get there in a short amount of time if you really just go all out and stay focused. So, I'm proud of you, man. From man to man, I'm really excited to see what you're going to be doing, especially as things open up again. Because this is just the beginning. So 25,000 streams, over 1,000 followers on Instagram, and that number is going to continue to rise. I'm sure of it. And we need to do a where are they now in a year or two.
Yes. Yeah, we should do that. That'd be great.
Now, Julian is just getting started with where he's going to go with his music career. And this transformation is not unlike what you can accomplish as well once you get organized, have a system, and go for it. Now is the time to leap. If you want my help, I have the links in the description box below, somewhere up on the screen. Let's get to work and make it happen for you. I'll see you inside.
Welcome to the Sell Music Masterclass, where we give you, the creator, proven advanced strategies with actionable tactics and techniques to help you monetize your music and develop a powerful online brand. With your instructions.